We're so thankful to have the New Orleans Gumbo Kings here with us this evening. We have Steve Howard here, and we have Mike Sizer as well, and Tony Baker. So thank y'all so much for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Well, great. Who are your musical inspirations?
Boy, well, okay. So the first artists that I knew about that I could actually say I knew who they were. Well, the first one was Tommy Dorsey. And it was the tune "I'm Getting Sentimental Over You," his theme song, and I heard it for the first time when I was in 7th grade. But the big musicians like Earl Hines and people like that, that's who I really was inspired by very early on. We had in Little Rock, Arkansas, if you can imagine this, we had a jazz radio station for years. Very much like KNTU. I don't know if it was affiliated with a university or not, but we had a jazz radio station in Little Rock, Arkansas that played jazz 24 hours a day.
Wow.
I know, it's amazing to think just how lucky I was.
Yeah.
So after I did my homework and after I practiced whatever music I had to practice, then I would spend the rest of the night listening to the radio with horn in hand, and I would hear something, and I'd try to catch that. Well, because it's a radio station, different thing, songs go in cycles, So I knew that I would hear it again.
Yeah.
And then my parents bought me a boom box, a cassette boom box, and I could record, a night of radio onto that, and I had quite the amazing tape collection by the time I was in 8th grade,
Okay.
and very often I didn't even know the titles of what I was listening to,
Yeah.
but and because of that I didn't know who the artists were either, but that's why I say I don't know who all of the artists were that inspired me early on,
Mm-hmm.
but that was my early inspiration. I was inspired much more by jazz early on than by classical.
Okay.
The classical part came later, but very early on, it was jazz musicians that that got me excited about music.
Okay. Could you just tell us, because it's a kind of interesting story how the group began. Could you tell us that?
Steve said, we played I'd heard about Steve for years because aviation, we had some aviation stuff in common, and he had been in New Orleans, and people were like, I can't believe you don't know Steve Howard, because you're both in New Orleans. So we finally played what they call a casual together, it was a wedding reception or something, and we were riding together from somewhere, and he says, man, we got to get a Dixieland band together. I said, no way. And then I said, okay. And we called like the best people we knew, and they all said, sure, we're in. So then, like Steve said, it kind of evolved some traditional music, and then we decided, to do all that. The wealth of New Orleans music, my golly, I decided to do some funk and some street stuff, and you name it. So that's where it started. How'd I do?
You did okay. I was going to tell one more thing, and I think this will be this is a little humor of the band, but Mike is very witty and quick. And we, as musicians, we all play gigs that we play for fun,
yes,
and to play music and to perform and show off our craft.
Like
and
the Sammons, for sure.
Like the Sammons, like right here tonight, which we're going to do. And then we also play gigs which are just like, okay, we're here because we have to eat. So we're going to collect our check and play the gig. One time the Gumbo Kings got booked for a wedding. and as we all know, weddings can sometimes be difficult, and they, of course, wanted us because we played New Orleans music. But then when we got there, they wanted us to play pop music, you know, and it was like, okay, trying to do this and that to please everybody. We tried to do what we could to make them happy because it's their special event. And towards the end of the gig, Mike, the mother of the bride comes up to Mike and she's all bubbly. She says, "And what's your favorite song?" And he looks at her and he says, "The Last Song." Needless to say, the band fell out, you know. And,
That's pretty funny. Pretty funny.
but anyway.
Yeah, that's cool. I love it.
Yeah, it was
Thanks
funny.
for sharing
Yeah.
that. Thank you all so much. New Orleans, Gumbo Kings, Tony Baker, Steve Howard, Mike Sizer. We really appreciate you being here. We look forward to your performance tonight. Thanks so much for being a part of our Take 6 interview show.
We're really grateful you have us here, Arlington.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Glad
you.
to be here.